Hey class, I'm glad you're watching this video. This will really help you with the concepts of ethos, pathos, and logos. So it's exploring really what we're doing here is how do we persuade people. We can use one of three techniques, and those techniques were created by Aristotle. He came up with them between 384 and 322 BCE. He was a student of Plato. He was a tutor to Alexander the Great. I think we're building on his ethos here, credibility. His work, Rhetoric, first documented these persuasion techniques during a time when public speaking was essential to democracy. A lot of people didn't have books. They had to have discourse and listen to people talk in order to gain information. So he came up with these ideas of how we present information around 384 to 322 BCE. That's a long time ago. And however, this is still around today. It is the main roadmap that you can take when you're watching commercials on television, when you see people present in public, or when you're reading an article. Same thing. Ethos, pathos, and logos. So logos is the appeal to logic and reason. I think of Spock in Star Trek. He doesn't have any emotion. It's all logic and reason and numbers, and that data doesn't add up, right? Pathos, appeal to emotion. Number one, if I can gain your emotion by telling you a story about my personal experience, sad, angry, all of these, they're emotion. That's pathos, right? And then ethos is the appeal to credibility. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Ethos is establishing the credibility, like I said. It's based on personal experience. You share relevant anecdotes that demonstrate your expertise on a topic. And thank you, Jennifer Aniston. She's selling a vino, and it's Jennifer Aniston. So Aveeno uses Jennifer Aniston's credibility to sell their product. Who knows if she even uses Aveeno, but it sells it for them, right? There's an example. Doctors, more dentists, prescribe Crest toothpaste than any other type of toothpaste in the world. Once again, credibility. It's display through understanding of your topic through detailed explanations. Why is Crest toothpaste the best? Expert citations. I mean, the doctors are referencing authorities. It's strengthening their position. They're selling it. And then first-hand testimony. A lot of times you'll see someone on a commercial or somewhere who's used the product or hired this law firm. That's always ethos, right? So in our articles, we'll see ethos because they will be citing sources. This is what we want to do in our papers. When you're reading, notice where if they cite information from credible sources, or are those sources not credible? And then we have a problem. We can find the biased information in the article, right? All right, pathos, the number one way of selling things. So these involve personal stories. In How to Read Like a Writer, we saw the article this week that he tells a personal story about working in a theater in London while he's trying to read. It's a personal story. It pulls us into his point, right? These are vivid narratives. They create detailed scenarios that help readers visualize situations, feeling involved. Impact studies. So when you're reading through research, you'll see a lot of research that shows how issues affect real world people. That means you and I. That pulls to our emotions. That makes us human. And then we'll see emotional testimony as well, right? These are powerful first-hand accounts that stir compassion and concern. If I were writing a paper about why we need to help homeless people in America, or even in Alabama, I might detail the number of homeless children, and ask, why is that? Why, the richest country in the world, how can we not help homeless children? And now I'm appealing to your emotion. And so I'll pull up another ad here for you. It does the same thing, or two. Nature Reinvented. It just says, okay, we've got some logos here. We've got compact hybrid. We have Toyota's signature. But the rest of it, why would this car be out in the middle of the woods? I don't even know how they got out there. It's all emotion, right? So who's the target audience for this? It's people who want to cut down on uses of gas, maybe save money, but also the environmentally friendly people who want to save the environment and so forth. Here's another one. Assemble your fantasy team. Viva Cuervo. It's always sunny at Cuervo.com. And so what do we have here? We have a guy sitting on the beach assembling his fantasy team with 4 or 5 women. But I ask you, what does this have to do with Jose Cuervo? Well, they're showing the good side. It's going to be fun. They don't show the flip alternative, right? Like, you know, the hangover Uncle Bob passed out the next morning with dirty dishes, because that wouldn't sell. But this sells. It's pulling at your emotion. You want to experience that. Even pop artists, rock artists, they use this technique. Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen, all of these musicians, they use pathos a lot, and that's engaging your emotions. Logos, like I said, this is like Spock. This establishes facts. We present verified information, case studies, analyze specific examples. You know, these are the statistics that you will see in a paper, in the essays you explore in the Opposing Viewpoint Research Center this week. You will find statistics, numerical data to support claims. I'm backing it up with facts. I'm backing it up with numbers. We share outcomes of experiments. The Center for Disease Control, they do experiments, and they share the outcomes of those experiments in order to make the public healthy. Here's an example of an ad that has total statistics in it, right? And it has information in it, like a sunroof, 7-speaker system, leather seats, nice interior, rear view camera. These are all using logos to sell us that car, right? So that's logos, applying logic to a field. Here's the triangle, methods of persuasion. Hopefully this helps you remember these. I have to invent names, so I'm thinking ethics for credibility, logos is logic, and then pathos, for some reason I think like psychopath, full of emotion, information like that. So sometimes these overlap. If we're using ethos and pathos, we have personal anecdotes that establish both credibility and emotional connection. So a doctor sharing a patient's story demonstrates expertise and compassion. So here we have ethos and pathos, credibility and emotion. In this middle one, we have emotion and logic. So impact studies provide emotional context alongside statistical evidence. So here's an example. There's a research article, and it shows that childhood poverty rates with personal testimonies in it, right? So we have the poverty rates, and then we have the personal testimony of those children living in poverty. That makes it powerful. That increases the power of the statistics. And then we have facts and credibility at the end, logos and ethos. So expert citations offer logical support while building author credibility. And so here's another example of that. Quoting Nobel laureates in physics to support scientific claims. So there, you can use these in a number of ways. You'll see how people use these. Pay particular attention in our readings. First of all, who's the audience they're going for? Consider who will receive your message. Different groups respond to different appeals. If I'm talking to my local church group, they might respond more to pathos or emotion. If I'm talking to a group of doctors, they're probably going to respond more to scientific data or logos, the facts, right? What's the purpose? Identify your goal. Informing may need more logos, while inspiring requires pathos. That's the emotion part I'm talking about. Context. Evaluate the situation. Who are you writing for? Is it a group of kids in high school? Or is it a group of professors in college? Or is it the general public around you? Academic papers demand more logic than social media posts. We've seen them before. You've been on Facebook. You know, Uncle Bob posts his political view, but he has nothing to back it up. There's no logos there. Academic papers require logos, facts. We're not on Facebook here, right? And then we have to have balance. We can balance these appeals. We can weave them in and out with each other. Combine appeals strategically. Work at it. Think about what you're doing. Which one of these appeals and methods is going to be most effective in my paper that I'm writing for my professor in engineering, nursing, English? Which one? Over-reliance on one type of those fields will weaken your argument. So we need to be well-rounded. So the final thing I'm going to show you here is a chart, and it's going to be your turn. You go watch commercials on TV. See what they use. Do they use ethos? Do they use pathos? Do they use logos? Watch your favorite music videos. Do they bring in statistics? Do they just rely totally on emotion? And then watch the politicians. And that's our exercise for this week in the discussion. You can't be biased. You can't bring in politics. You just have to say, do they use ethos? Do they use pathos? Do they use logos? Which one do they not use? Do they over rely on emotion and don't bring in facts? Or do they over rely on facts and don't bring in emotion? You're going to be the judge. Here's a chart. Here we have logos is used 30, rating of 30 out of this pie. So a pretty good bit. All of these are pretty close to each other, but I'm going to make a point here. So these are the facts, right? These are the statistics, the numbers. That's what's used 30% of this pie. And then we go up to 32% is ethos or credibility. So credibility is huge. Who wrote the article? What's their credentials? Who are they writing for? What was their goal? What was happening during that time? That's ethos, right? But look at the number one again, and I'll prove my point. 38% of the circle is the number one selling point, emotion. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. Thanks for watching it and getting deep down into our topic this week. I look forward to seeing your work and discussing ethos, pathos, and logos. We can even talk about Aristotle if you want to. Have a good one.